I think that telling children that China is going to rule the world should be considered child abuse. I grew up in an atmosphere and a social climate where it was widely believed that China would rule the world. We didn't really question it. We were just running around being confused as usual. Didn't pay much attention to it. But it inspired me to be the type of person I wouldn't have wanted to be in hindsight. Uh, I took it upon myself to be a bit of a bully, particularly in high school. I wasn't violent or anything, but I had a lot of attitude, a lot of grit, and that showed in the physical education classes. Dominated it, particularly in small confined places, uh, isolated containment areas, as StarCraft would call them. Because I went to a school that was occupied by mostly Chinese students, all of them whom had money to go to university, so they had privilege. And it led to resentment within me and a lot of emotional problems that I had to go through, and I had to really think about these sort of things. And I strongly disagree with that mentality of telling people that, because the thing is, it'll hit them like a sack of potatoes when they get older. Exactly, why would you want a country like China to rule the world? Look within it and how evil a country it is. I'm not talking about your everyday people who are just screwing Barbie heads on dolls and sewing shoes together. They're the poor souls. I feel bad for them. But the thing is, I don't feel bad for the capitalist class and the Communist Party of China, and those who enforce their laws, and their police officers, and their gangs that run around, and all the other problems that come with that country and that whole region of the world. It's a corrupt, obviously corrupt area. And I don't think it's right to deceive children at all, but you shouldn't tell them things like that. It'll really uh, damage them, scar them for life. Hearing that kind of information, particularly if they're white or non-Chinese. Because one day they'll wake up and realize that that would not be a good thing. That would be a horrible, horrific thing if China became the number one superpower. But it was hammered into our heads constantly. And, people who repeat that rhetoric, I ain't got no respect for them. They don't deserve any. And half the time, I just ignore them. They're non-persons as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if you're from that country, or you're just sympathetic, or you feel guilty about your own nationality because of some crimes that may have happened a few hundred years ago or whatever. I don't care what your reason is. There's no reason to think or to support China ruling the world. And if you're going to go around straight up lying to children, then you've obviously got something wrong with your personality. I don't care what your reason for saying that is. You just don't say it. It causes more harm than good. And for those parents that tell their children who are Chinese that China is going to rule the world, I can understand that more. It's inaccurate, and when they get older, it's going to hit them like a sack of potatoes just as much. When they wake up and realize, hey man, you're in a country that's not ruled by China, it's ruled by European settlers. So you can think what you want, but cold hard reality is North America, Europe, Russia, Australia, even Southern Asia and India, they will not tolerate China doing anything. Because if China thought they could get away with it, they would have pulled it already. They're just biding their time, waiting for a moment of weakness. They test us every now and then, like with their undetectable nuclear submarines, their advanced ballistic missiles, their lasers that they fire at our satellites to blind them, and all this other sort of stuff. Cyber hacking. This is all not new information that I brought up, but it's all snippets of information that you just you see it once, you remember it, but it disappears. I'm sure you could Google it and you'd probably find it if you look long enough and hard enough of this sort of stuff, but it's still a narrative. It's still what the powers that be want to tell you, how they want to tell you. And they want to tell you how to think, but they don't want to tell you they want to tell you what to think. They want you to feel as though you are thinking what you want to think. They want to give you subliminal messaging. Have it so that they get what they want, you think what they want you to think, but you feel liberated and you feel intellectually stimulated and you feel as though that you're not under control, but you are. I watched a video by another O'Keefe, a famous O'Keefe. What's his name? It's not Kevin. Anyway, that's not important. He was talking about how the mechanism of control is the financial system, the artificial debt, the artificial mortgage. Even if you buy your house outright, the tax man can come along and take it anyway, so it's not really your house, you just happen to be occupying it. These people can do these things, and you can be left out on the street. Yeah, it's amazing what the government can do and actually get away with it. They're really just a bully, a thug, a gang of people who hold power and manipulate people into doing their bidding. And they're in high places in society, which gets back into the Freemason idea that I brought up. And they control everything. And a lot of them are born into this sort of atmosphere. Their father was a police chief, or their father was a high-ranking politician, or their father was a great hockey player, or whatever, and they're groomed into this life of understanding politics, understanding Jedi mind tricks, and the ability to get what you want through subtlety and discretion, or discretion, I mean. And us common folk, we don't have it organized together. We don't understand these rules of psychology and brain chemistry and the ability to manipulate people, and to the extent that they do. So we're clumsy about it. We're sloppy. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. And they're able to control us because of that, because they know our weaknesses. They know what generation of us knows what about society. And depending on who you were raised by, your social climate, your social circle of friends, what education system you went through, what's your job, and all that, they can determine where you are on your political beliefs. It's kind of like when you throw food scraps in the garbage, or when a company does it. At the dump, it's all categorized. It didn't used to be, of course. They used to be sloppy about it, but now they're not. It used to be categorized so that, or it is categorized now. It didn't used to be, it is now. Categorized so that they can determine when that garbage was put in a certain area of the dump, what food content is in there, for example, and where it came from. Because they know that that particular spot is reserved for whatever restaurant or grocery store or whatever. So they can determine where this stuff comes from. Therefore, they can anticipate what could happen at any time. Yeah, these Freemasons, really obsessed about them, but it's very hard to learn. I'm not going to school because they'll just teach me their narrative, and I may not agree with it. It could be cold hard fact, but I have no way of knowing that because it's all going to be secondhand information. Because something's written in a book or whatever, it's not evidence. It isn't. It's an opinion. It's perhaps even eyewitness testimony, but it's not evidence. It's a type of evidence. There's a difference. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to tell children that China is going to rule the world. It's probably best not even to mention the concept of war or ruling the world to anyone. I mean, with my my YouTube channel, I'm not building a swing set for the children. I'm talking to adults my age and perhaps adults that are older, if they're interested in what I got to say about my take on global politics. And some of my ideas are far out, and I know some people aren't going to be the slightest bit interested in hearing what I got to say, and that's okay. You just click the little X button on the corner of the YouTube internet page, and you don't have to listen to what I got to say anymore. It's as easy as that. I only put these things out there for people who actually want to watch them. And in this video, I'm saying there is something seriously twisted about society. Something perversely sickening. And nothing's as good as it should be. And it's for stupid reasons. Like, the amount of people who get to do bad things because they know the law, they know how to get around things, they have the financial power to do what they want, so they're able to do bad things to benefit themselves, and it's kind of like a screw everyone else mentality. And you ask yourself, why is this allowed? Why isn't there powers that be that actually make things fair for people, that actually have the greater good in mind when they go about doing things? So it's not just about greed in politics. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. Well, I think I'm going to go out to the liquor store and get myself a beer. I've earned it today. I worked hard. I worked out, I went to the gym, I did this, I did that, did a little bit of cleaning. Yeah, I earned it. I'm going to the liquor store. Be back later. I'll talk to you guys soon.